FNAF Security Breach is better than Outlast. It's more fun than Soma. The internet would simply have you believe, game sucks, not scary. But I'm here to open the eyes of the unbelievers. Security Breach is merely hampered by some very simple and easy to fix issues, but it's not a bad game. As a matter of fact, I go as far as to call it one of the more entertaining games in the genre. I'm here to set the record straight as a critic and as a fan of 5 Nights at Freddy's. Let's jump straight into this. Get yourself a slice of cardboard pizza from the Pizzaplex as I unwrap this game like a birthday present. Before I defend this game, let me agree with you all first. The state of this game is unacceptable. Even in 2024, it is a bug-ridden mess. Now, how big of a problem are these bugs? They range from immersion breaking to game breaking. Realistically, fix like 2 or 3 specific ones and the game is fine, playable. It's actually more of a small problem in the long run. Chica will sometimes teleport behind you consistently, looping the effect of getting caught by a security bot. They're pathing lets them down here. I was mistaken. They're pathing lets them down here. They are allowed down here. Oh god, she's doing the teleporting thing. I thought they fixed it. I don't, you're right. It's okay. I don't have friends. Alas, they did not fix the teleporting issue like I thought they did. Crap. It takes a phaser blaster to the face or the phas cam to break the loop, if you have it. Or you can stare at her until she starts the chase. Freddy will sometimes try to reach you from places you can't access yet, like chained up gates. A pretty easy one to replicate. All you have to do is summon him from somewhere else, but it's really annoying to deal with. But even these bugs aren't as game breaking as the ones that lock you out of progression. During Chica's boss fight, activate the 3rd generator during the escape sequence, go back, save, and then die, and you'll have yourself 2 closed doors and an already activated generator, trapping you in a purgatory full of... At launch, there was a bug that prevented Roxy from breaking wooden barricades in her fight. This has since been fixed, but it shows you the kind of bugs we're talking about here. In the case of Chica, I had to go back to an autosave that was made 30 minutes prior. Those are just the more important bugs. We're not talking about stuff like Roxy always asking if we're lost, despite Roxy herself not being in the vicinity. Oh, shut that crap up. Oh god. Or animatronics getting stuck in walls. The AI of the main animatronics are also very inconsistent. They're either on you like a hawk, or lose you instantly. At launch, the game claimed that they would kill you if they saw you trying to hide in something. But this was not the case. You could hide mid-chase and they wouldn't care. This is one of the most basic things to get right in a horror game and they straight up didn't do it on release. But the thing is, Security Breach is only 2 or 3 bugs away from being, well, not acceptable, but playable. Mainly the Chica bugs. I can live with most of these, but they alone are not the reason this game has so much hate. Ah, here she opened it. Another reason is that this game runs like a crippled grandma that just got out of a coma. On PC, this game is so horribly unoptimized that it makes me yearn for loading screens of old. Speaking of which, why not? Why not have loading screens? Was it so important to make this game purely open that we couldn't have the atrium be like a hub from which we could access areas? I say this because running around will give you all kinds of stutters and blurry textures as the game tries desperately to load ahead of the player. This means that this game was built for one kind of PC, the extremely fast, as if that even matters. No, look, my PC isn't amazing, but if I could run Spider-Man Remastered at top settings and keep a consistent FPS, then this is unacceptable. This isn't a PC issue, it's a developer issue. And after whole gigabytes of patch notes still not optimizing this game, then I don't think Steel will have the talent to do so. That may sound mean, but if they knew they couldn't do it, then they shouldn't have launched the game open world, or open level. It's not even that difficult of a problem to solve conceptually. Implement loading screens to separate what gets rendered and keep it in big chunks so that the game still feels sufficiently open. What's funny is that, just like a lot of other games, it has loading screens. They're just hidden behind elevators and cute little icons in the bottom right that freeze your game. I'd rather have tooltips on a loading screen than look at a frozen image of where I was standing. If everything is preloaded before putting us in an area though, then there's no problem. Like I said, this is a very easy thing to fix conceptually, so I'm not sure how Steel Wool got so deep into development without realizing there's an issue. Even cutscenes aren't loaded in properly half the time. I have a call for the Star Wars Jedi games, I'm not a game developer, so if the performance has little to do with loading in areas, then I'll eat my words, and a delicious slice of pizza right afterwards. But it's still a problem, regardless. After watching Astral's video on this game, he figured out that a lot of the game's loading and stuttering between areas is caused by the lighting effects, which do look pretty good to be fair. Without them, loading in new areas isn't a problem at all, so my theory was half true. It is just struggling to load in areas, but it's mainly the lighting, which explains why turning down your graphics settings doesn't really have an impact on performance, because it's not the texture's fault, it's the lights. Still, if they had bothered with loading screens and letting areas actually render first, then we wouldn't have these problems. I think those are Security Breach's biggest issues, but like I said, in the grand scheme of things, they're actually pretty small problems with very easy fixes. At least to make the baseline experience playable. If you're actually trying to break the game, then yeah, there's a lot more bugs where that came from. There's a whole other angle to consider though. They abandoned the game. That's the biggest problem of them all. I have respect for developers who refuse to let their games go down this path. Cyberpunk 2077. That game went years as a nearly unplayable mess, but CD Projekt Red did not let it die. They came back and they made it right. They even overhauled core mechanics that players weren't satisfied with. Yes, the game shouldn't have lost the way it did, but at the end of the day, they made sure their customers were satisfied. Steel Wool isn't EA evil or anything. They released free DLC, and I commend them for that, but that's a whole different ballpark. Part of the reason the game was already abandoned is probably because Steel Wool were working on the Ruin DLC and Help Wanted 2 at the same time. The proof? They took over a year between patches for Security Breach. Even then, most of these fixes are for the DLC. I respect Steel Wool's ambition and creativity, I don't respect them as a game development studio. Not sure how both Help Wanted games went by without problems compared to Security Breach, but that's the reality of the industry, I guess. Now that we're out of the realm of obvious issues, it's time to get more spicy. One of the biggest complaints you'll hear about Security Breach is that it isn't scary. This actually comes in several layers of criticism, but let's take it one at a time. I'll agree that the jump scare deaths are terrible. Why are they so quiet? I could see not making the VR games really loud since, I don't know, maybe they were afraid of making it too scary for people who aren't used to VR, I guess. But there is no reason for Security Breach to have the most quiet jump scares in the series. Like, why? Now that I know is an easy fix. When a jump scare has that pop, that bang, it assaults your ears and makes the scare more jumpy, hence, jump scare. But there's more to fear than just jump scares. There's also tone and atmosphere. I hate saying the words fear and atmosphere close together. What the crap? So how about that art style, huh? Ugh, it's too colorful, too unrealistic. Boy, since when did color and fear correlate? Never. They never have. Clowns. Need I say more? In fact, the best FNAF games have the most color. FNAF 2, Central Locations Animatronics, Pizzeria Simulator, great games and very colorful. In fact, FNAF 3 is the least scary and it has the contrast turned to 1. As of the time of this script, I haven't played the Poppy games, but Huggy Wuggy emerging from the darkness was expertly done, and Huggy's blue is brighter than the summer sky. Of course these things don't correlate. Resident Evil 7's terrifying, it also doesn't have much color. That has absolutely nothing to do with it. If you had a huge budget and wanted to exploit children for their money or souls, wouldn't you make the place as colorful as possible? That's what I thought. You want kids to come to the Pizzaplex. You need them to come here. But okay, maybe the color isn't a problem, but we do still have a problem. Look how bright this place is. We're here from closing to opening, and they want you to have a flashlight here? It looks like it's open all night long. Okay. I can fix this. Let me just get the lights. This is what the game should look like. And trust me, this is not a difficult implementation. I remember messing with custom lights all the time on Unity. Surely a professional game studio could do this in Unreal. Sure, some places should be more lit up than others, but the Pizzaplex shouldn't feel like it's open for business. Just look at how a small change can completely alter the atmosphere. Like I've been saying, small changes. But hey, Security Breach has its moments, as it is. Ugh, don't tell me you think Security Breach is scary. Not exactly, but it can scare you. I always call Outlast predictable because I don't find it scary. But it did get me once. Same concept with Security Breach, except it got me even more. On my second playthrough. Go ahead and tell me that you didn't freak out when the DJ opened the bathroom door. Say that. I dare you. Tell me those endos didn't weird you out. Tell me you weren't nervous getting chased in the vents that you thought were safe. Tell me that Sun and Moon didn't at least make you uncomfortable to look at when you first played this game. Say all that to my face. Say it in the comments so I can immediately disregard it. And hey, if you're really out of it, the death scares can't surprise you, I guess. With some very simple changes, I believe Security Breach can run along with the rest of its horror brethren. It still wouldn't be the scariest game ever, but hey, which game is? But it would be vastly improved. Again, small little changes. Not only that, but it's my firm belief that the art style is still consistent enough with the franchise and the context behind the Pizzaplex. No change needed there. A horror game is never going to scare everyone. Some people were probably scared of layers of fear. Somehow. Just like Outlast didn't scare me. But what all these games have in common is that they have the potential to scare. As long as that's possible, it's a horror game. Security Breach sits well under that umbrella. With how many different situations you're thrown into, the game is bound to get you at least once or twice, even if it's just a little heart jolt. Plus, there's a lot of these moments. For that, I say the game's fear factor is just fine the way it is. At least after those changes I mentioned. Alright, time to take off the training wheels. We're moving from mere effects and on to game design philosophy. Because you see, I wasn't just annoyed with the bugs, I was also annoyed with the bugs mixed in with the linear level design. And the game itself may be free roam, but there's only so much you can do at certain points. For example, when you first unlock the main atrium, there are security barriers in front of the stairs, which disappear for some reason after a certain point in the story. But what's important to note is our objective and how to get there. We have to make it up these stairs here, but to get there, you have to make it past a tightly woven pack of robots. 2 security bots and Roxy stand in your way. Roxy's only here for this specific scripted sequence. There's a few moments like this in the game where stealth feels impossible, and the level design mixed with the enemy combinations often leave you with no choice but to book it. This is reinforced by the fact that most of the animatronics are slower than you by a tiny bit, except for normal Roxy, who's only faster by a tiny bit. If you try to focus mainly on stealth, you're gonna get frustrated. Crouch walking around simply doesn't give you enough speed to work with when you're trying to move around the Pizzaplex. I think the worst example of this is down in the basement area with all the endoskeletons. When you first meet these things, they're pretty unnerving, but they quickly become irritating when you realize just how many of them there are. It got to the point where I relied on reflexes and sprinting through the area as opposed to how it was intended to be completed. Same thing with the Chica boss fight. Considering you'll have either a Phaser Blaster or Phazcam by this point, there's no reason to take it slow. And one of the optional endings has one of the worst rooms I have ever seen. You can't see crap in front of you and there are enemies everywhere. I was forced to blindly run in and pray I reach something important. And it worked. Getting caught by a security bot should feel threatening, not like a minor annoyance. In fact, nothing in this game feels particularly threatening due to the AI of the animatronics as well as your speed. A good stealth game rewards stealth, whether that be bonus points, extra rewards, or saved time. In Security Breach, stealthing is actually a waste of time. That's not how it should work, ladies and gentlemen. The thing is, this may sound like a huge problem, but it isn't. I kid you not, just hit the delete key on the occasional security bot in the Unreal Engine, and we're good to go. Now I know it's not literally that easy for the most part because there's still remnants of that thing in the engine like pathing, but in the case of the security bots, they aren't really used for anything in the story, so it is technically that easy. There's no scripts linking it to important story moments. If you want it gone, just delete it. I'm not a game developer, so if I'm wrong, forgive me, but when I was trying to learn Unity, it was just that simple. When I booted up Unreal, the interface was at least similar. And hey, just copy and paste a hiding spot in an area without one. It really is that simple. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. That's probably what the Mazer Size mod did to the Mazer Size puzzle, just delete the walls. See how close this game is to being fun? It may sound like I'm trying to make the game too easy, but honestly, dying in a game that's just running and hiding is no fun. The fear is more about how much progress you're losing, not the actual death scare. It's just all these small things that would be so easy to fix. At least to an experienced developer they would be. Alright, so now that I'm done talking about all the small stuff, it's time to get into the more big issues, the big, huge things that are really hard to fix. No? That's it? Every problem this game has is small and relatively easy to fix for experienced developers. So why haven't Steel Wool done any of this or something similar? I'll tell you why. For starters, they were working on 2 major projects at the same time. They launched the game unfinished to make holiday deadlines, making it a mad dash to fix it before putting all forces onto Ruin and Help Wanted 2. And my theory is that Steel Wool just aren't experienced developers. They have VR games on their resume and that's it. That's all they have. Which does explain the quality of their VR games, but also explains the quality of Security Breach. But hang on, rewind a second. I said something at the start of this video that probably got many of you mad. FNAF Security Breach is better than Outlast. It's more fun than Soma, but it's not a bad game. As a matter of fact, I go as far as to call it one of the more entertaining games in the genre. I just spent however long talking about how this game was flawed, and yet I have the audacity to say that it's a good game? Yes, it's frustrating, but it's good. Security Breach just does so much that other games don't do. I shouldn't even need to say this, but a talking protagonist is one of them.
Of course you can! Come on! We can hide you somewhere!
Right off the bat, Freddy is your friend. He helps you in many ways. This is crazy for a franchise where the closest thing we've ever gotten to help is manipulation from Circus Baby. Not only that, but Freddy's a chill dude, fun to listen to and extremely helpful to get through annoying areas more than once.
I feel that something is wrong. I am taking you to the first aid station.
Bonnie Bowling comes to mind, where there can be 3 different enemy types hunting you down at once. Speaking of which, I've never seen a horror game of this nature with this many enemy types. You've got the main 3, Monty, Chica, and Roxy, which all have certain specialities to them, but you've got security bots, endoskeletons, the Music Man and the vents, the broken versions of the animatronics, Freddy can be a threat, Sun and Moon, Vanny, Vanessa, the DJ. That's all I can think of. There's probably one or two more I'm forgetting, but not only that, but all these enemies have their own thing, keeping the player on their toes 24/7. They're not just skins of each other. They all have their own scripted sequences throughout the whole game, and you have the big chase with the DJ, his bathroom jump scare, the endos in the bowling lanes, Vanny's odd appearances with the visual effects. Heck, this game has boss fights. Tell me you saw that coming. Boss fights. Every objective the game throws at you will have something interesting for you to experience. That's why this game is so cool. It's extremely unpredictable, which can lead to scares, but it leads more to fun. It's not just crouch walking and running down the hall. It's shooting the Phaser Blaster, crushing Monty, exploring the FNAF 6 location. Not only that, but the dialogue in this game is charming as well. There are several lines that I heard in my recent playthrough that I just straight up don't remember hearing.
Hey, superstars! It's me, Freddy! Welcome to the Mega Pizzaplex. Grab a jumbo slice of pepperoni and top it off with an ice-cold Fizzy Fast. Then enjoy our super games and attractions. Don't forget to stop by Rockstar Row and meet me in person. Have fun and have a Phaserific day.
Whoa!
That was not me. That was a recording. I want to make sure you are not confused.
I don't think I've ever heard that line.
This is on the 3rd floor.
You can hide, but you can't hide.
I keep hearing lines I don't remember hearing. You can hide, but you can't hide. I love the dialogue in this game. Despite what you may think about the actual endings, which is a plus in and of itself, the game is well written. How about the idea of a Metroidvania style progression around the map? It doesn't amount to much, but it gives the boss fights more purpose. It also gives Freddy more to do. Speaking of, you can get battery upgrades for Freddy as well as your flashlight and stamina. Heck, throw in the Phaser Blaster and Phazcam to make life easier after the fear factor has dissipated. What can you do in Outlast again? Oh yeah, how fun. See what I mean? Doesn't all this stuff sound good on paper? Yeah, it sounds awesome. But so many small problems get in the way of that fun that they built on each other to become huge problems. One brick doesn't stop an army, but the more bricks you stack, the bigger the barrier. Each brick is cemented into a big wall, which is obviously harder to jump. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach isn't flawed at its core. It has everything that a good game needs, but as far as I'm concerned, it was ruined, pun intended, by a lack of experience and overambition on Steelwool's part. This game was too much for them, which is why the experience, not the game, was mediocre at best and terrible at worst. Thanks for watching. Yeet.